Welcome to BNEWS Weekly Special Report. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with our guest today, Jim Sheridan, Director of Food Pantry, Burlington Food Pantry, and Julie Lewis, Manager of the Food Pantry. And that's what our subject matter is, comes as no surprise. Some changes there, a couple of big changes going on, your location and also the management. Jane has moved on. So why don't we start with Director Sheridan and talk about how you came to be with us here at the Food Pantry.
Sure. So my background is in project management or managing people who are in the software development arena. So I worked at Fidelity for 25 years or so, and then moved on to real estate here in Burlington, and also managed a coffee shop here in Burlington, True North. So I was affiliated with the pantry as a volunteer a couple of years ago. So when the opportunity came up in August of this year, they needed a new manager. Cheryl Barnes had left the pantry. So I applied, and here we are today.
Here you are. Julie, how about you? You have a background in public service, in this type of thing, social services?
Well, my background professionally has been in food service and food service management. So prior to this, I was a manager at Wegmans for many years. But I had worked as a volunteer running one of the holiday programs for people helping people for the last 10 years or so. So I ran the In-Gathering Thanksgiving program for about 10 years leading up to this. So this is how I sort of became, affiliated with the food pantry and the, public service piece of this job.
Okay, so acquisition of food is in your background, and
it's been very important in my life. Yes.
Oh, me too, as you can tell. So, what is the differentiation between your two roles? What does the director do? What does the manager do?
So my role is, I guess, more strategic in nature. Whereas Julie's is more tactical. So Julie takes care of the day-to-day operations at the pantry. So, the food donation intake, managing the volunteers when they're on site, maintaining cleanliness. Whereas my role is more strategic, getting involved in, fundraising and implementing the strategic plans, goals that we've established for the pantry.
Well, let's talk about COVID. I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right? Obviously, it's impacted everything, everywhere. How has it impacted you, particularly from a volunteer standpoint?
So I know, COVID happened kind of prior to my time at the pantry, but I do know that a lot of our volunteers left because of COVID. Understandably, everyone was kind of scared of what was going on, not knowing what was happening. We have, brought a lot of them back, but not all of them. So we are, we all are always looking for more volunteers. It's also kind of changed our operations at the pantry. So there used to be, our clients used to come inside and shop for their food with a volunteer's help. And now we actually do a drive-through method. So our clients we have an app and tablet, so the clients go and kind of pick what they want in the tablet based on the menu that we've put in there for the day. And then our volunteers shop inside the pantry and pack their orders, bring them right out to their car for them, so they never get out of their car. So it's a very different model.
So yeah, well, they do that by tablet. Can they actually do that on a website as well in advance of coming? You're 2 days a week operationally?
3 days that we have distribution, yes. No, at this time we don't have a way for them to pre-order ahead of time, but it is something that Jim and I have discussed, that it would be something we are looking into.
Functionally a little bit more effective.
Exactly.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Efficient.
Quicker, efficient, that's the word. That's, the older you get, those big words, they're harder to find, So what about the volunteer process? How does one become a volunteer? You have a vetting process. What's the time commitment? Lay that out for me.
So typically someone will go onto our website and they can sign up for volunteer activity. We actually have a volunteer coordinator, Julie Hayes, who does an awesome job of managing everyone. If we need to fill someone in, if someone can't make it for the day, she's right on it. So that's kind of the first step in the process. And then it's a simple form that they fill out. And we provide them with guidelines now for COVID, and just basic, I guess, behavior that's expected of someone who's a volunteer at the pantry. So it's a very simple process.
And what is the function? What are the various functions that one coming through the door as a new volunteer? What are they expected to do?
Yeah, so I mean, Julie Hayes, as Jim mentioned, is really good at sort of plugging people into roles that they want to do. So we have various things that we have volunteers do. Some of them will help us unload trucks if that's something that they, are good at or have experience in or would just like to do.
Or have the muscles.
Yeah, or have the muscles. That does help.
helpful.
We have a lot that, come in and just, for example, they'll take the bags of apples that we get in or the cases of apples and they'll sort them into smaller bags for us to go out to clients. Or, some of them help us input data into our system. We have volunteers that check clients in. We have volunteers that help shop for the orders, as I mentioned earlier. That's sort of a fun one. We need a lot of people to do that during distribution. We have, I believe, usually about 7 or 8 people there during distribution that help fill all the orders. Sort of a fun camaraderie time, at the pantry. We have a lot of different roles to fill, and we have them several days a week, not just when we're open for distribution, but getting ready for distribution as well.
So how long an operation is it? I mean, how many hours of operation, not just delivery, but all the various functions that have to be performed? How many hours a week are you actually working?
So Julie and I are full-time, so we both do, it's supposed to be 40 hours, but.
Right. Other than the administrative stuff, I mean the functionality of getting people, delivering food, completing the work week, how long does that take?
So I'd say, when we have volunteers there, between what we're doing and what volunteers are doing to get ready for distribution, it's probably about 20 to 25 hours a week of work, but that's with a lot of hands. It's not just a couple of people. It's a lot of people for 25 hours a week doing a lot of work.
Right. On average, our volunteers devote about 930 hours a month, in total.
Busy.
Yeah.
Before I forget, there are actually 3 components of people helping people. One is the holiday program, which you can tell me about, the Covenant for Basic Needs, and then the food pantry. So what consists of the holiday program? What does the holiday program consist of?
Yes. So I believe the holiday program was it came up, maybe 15, 20 years ago or so, when the folks running People Helping People knew that the pantry wasn't enough to accommodate, that little extra boost that people need during the holidays. So some folks at the United Church of Christ, which kind of runs that holiday program, the Thanksgiving one, came up with a Thanksgiving distribution. So we collect all the food needed including frozen turkey and fresh vegetables, canned and boxed goods that folks need for a Thanksgiving meal. So that all comes together the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and then we distribute it to food pantry clients and some other people in town who are in need of that service. And then the wish tree is also offered to pantry clients, but it takes place at the Burlington Mall, and volunteers sit and collect gifts for children in need in Burlington. So it's they each get 4 wishes. They can get a neat like a hat and gloves or a sweatshirt or those types of needs. They can get a wish like a toy, and then a couple of other things that their parents can choose for them, so that these children can have a nice Christmas.
Judy Walsh still runs that program?
She does, yes.
She does. So anybody can volunteer through the website to go down and sit at the wish tree if they choose?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. And the Covenant Basic Needs has been around for a long time. And it's basically those things, diapers, etc., for families.
Yes.
So let's talk about money and contributions. How does that break down, and who's providing it? Is the populace as at large responsible for most of the donations you receive? Corporate donations? Where you get your money?
Yeah.
Where
I
you
mean,
get your food?
Yeah. As far as the money, yes, it's all of the above. So it's generous individuals in the town and some out of town. Corporate donations. So some companies will do fundraising drives, or they'll do a food drive, and they'll be kind enough to give those things to us. As far as where we get food, our biggest contributor is Greater Boston Food Bank. So we get deliveries from them 3 to 4 times a month. And it's a great system. We can go on and essentially order tick and tack, what we want to be delivered the following Monday. We also get a number of orders from different companies, vendors, around town. So Target, Shaw's, Market Basket, Wegmans. Julie mentioned earlier she worked there. They're a big contributor as well. And then we have people dropping off food in our donation bins too. So they're
And where are they located throughout?
They're right at the pantry.
Yeah, but you also have them at Shaw's and a number of other places.
Yep, there's different locations throughout the town.
Some of the real estate offices, I think,
Yeah.
have them as well.
Yeah, Remax, Realty Experts is one as well.
How about the postman's collection? I know I worked in that, sorting that for a couple of years. There was a lot of stuff there. That's where you needed muscle.
That's what I hear. Again, I'm fairly new to the role, so I haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, my understanding is that it's
That's
a pretty
still
big
going
drive.
on. Okay. And I think we'll get Judy on, or Janet, I suppose, at some point. We always do. But the wine tasting is back on, and the Capitol Grill.
Capitol Grill, yeah.
Okay, how is that going? When is that drawing? People can still buy tickets?
They can, yes. I believe it's in January.
January is the drawing.
Is the drawing, yes. And
And it's dinner for
I want to
10?
say 6.
6, 10?
We really haven't gotten involved in
Well, I won it
Yeah.
1 year, I should know.
Oh, nice. Oh, man.
Wow.
You should tell us about it.
Yeah, it was 10 years or so ago, but well, it was
Nice.
well worth the $20. I think the ticket is $20, so I haven't got mine yet, but I'll be sure to, because I want to win again.
Yeah, I believe Janet just started that up.
Uh-huh.
Janet Sullivan.
Okay. Now, there's some other big changes coming up that you'll be head manning, the two of you, in a move. So tell us about that. You've been located at St. Mark's for as long as I can remember. What's going on there? Why is there a transition?
So we're finding a need for more space. Essentially, that's really the driver. So we've lost some of our space that we've occupied for quite a while in St. Mark's Church. So we kind of used to double between St. Mark's Church and the pantry itself as far as physical space. So we've lost the physical space at St. Mark's. So as a result, we've had to move all the operations into the pantry. So it's a little crowded. So that's really the driving force is physical space. So we're tentatively scheduled for mid to late February to move to our new space.
And where is that?
It's on Murray Ave. So it's right
Murray
near-
Ave is located behind True North?
No, it's a little further down. It's near the, right beyond the used bookstore.
Okay, okay. So
That little plaza there.
and it's in that plaza or behind it?
It's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's behind it.
Okay, I'll have to find it.
Yeah, it's not a building that, I've lived in Burlington for 15 years, and I did not know this building was there. So it's kind of hidden back behind sort of the Colorworks store or the paint store there.
Right.
It's
And that was,
Okay.
that location was intentional, just to.
Well, it's centrally located. Well, I've been here for 65 years and I couldn't visualize where
There
it
you go.
was, so we're in the same boat.
yeah.
So how are you planning to do this? I mean, this isn't going to be an easy thing. You've got refrigeration, you got shelves, you got a whole lot of stuff that has to be moved.
Yes.
How are you planning to do that?
So we've already started kind of preliminary moving. So we've taken a lot of our stock that doesn't expire for a few years out, and we've actually moved that out of the pantry into temporary space. So I'm in touch with a bunch of movers now who will actually move the freezers and refrigerators as they are, so we don't even have to unpack them, which is great. So they'll just wrap them and make sure nothing falls out. But yeah, all the shelves, the food on the shelves themselves.
More muscles required.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think that's where we definitely will need some volunteers to help us out with that. Obviously we don't want them moving refrigerators. We don't want anyone to get hurt.
But it has to be done quickly because you get a lot of perishables in there, right?
We do, yes. Yeah. So they'll be moved obviously intraday. So it's they go right from the old pantry to the new pantry, and we plug them back in. So hopefully that will go quickly.
And what kind of collaborative efforts do you have? You mentioned the Greater Boston operation. Do you have other relationships with other organizations, for instance, sharing? Suppose you've got too much peanut butter and somebody else has too much toilet paper, or whatever the the major components. We could talk about that, actually, what the most pressing needs are. But do you have collaborative efforts ongoing?
So, I mean, that's something that is definitely on my radar, but it's not, we haven't connected, at least Jim and I, again, being both new,
Right.
We haven't personally connected with other food pantries in the area, but that's something we, again, have thought about and talked about. I will say that one really great service that serves us and other pantries is called Lovin' Spoonfuls, which is connected with the Greater Boston Food Bank as well. But they go around to various grocery stores and then come, pick up donations, and then they come and deliver them to us. So that way, food pantries who don't have the resources to go around to various places and pick up refrigerated items have access to those donations. So, when Loving Spoonfuls pulls up and says, how, do you need milk? I'll say, sure, I'll take some, but don't give all of it to me, because I know my fellow food pantries will need it too.
Right.
So it's sort of a sharing effort on that, in that way.
There's a couple others. There's Boston area gleaners, and they're typically providing us with produce, that they've, again, it's very similar to Loving Spoonfuls, where, they gather fresh produce grown locally, and they distribute it to food pantries.
So all in all, pretty tight-knit organizations,
Yeah.
collaboratively around the region.
Yeah, and we also have, if I get this name right, Boston Bean Baby, who generously supplies us with diapers that we obviously distribute to clients.
Well, diapers and formula used to always be a problem in getting enough of it. Is that something you're regularly meeting the need?
From my experience, we haven't had issue so getting a good supply of those things.
Well, we might over the next year or so with all the people
Babies.
stuck in over babies. Yeah, right. If you remember the Great Northeast Blackout, which you're not old enough to remember, but I know there was a boom shortly thereafter.
Absolutely.
How about supply chain issues at this point? We're reading lots of course, you don't get many things that are coming across the country in hard goods, right?
Yeah.
Any supply chain issues that you're seeing?
I can speak to that if you want. So I will say that what we've noticed is we're getting less meat donated to us. So we used to get plenty, and now we're having trouble, especially from the grocery stores, because I think they're having supply chain issues, so they don't have as much to give to donate at the end. Other than that, though, I don't think we've had a lot that has affected us, because we take what we can get and then distribute it, so it's not like we're ordering things and they're not coming, something like that.
What are you seeing in pricing? You're out there every day and you have a background in retail food delivery and processing and inventory, etc.
Yeah.
What are you seeing the impact of pricing at this point? Is it inflationary in food that you can see?
Yes, I'm definitely seeing some increases in food prices. thankfully, it doesn't affect us because we're primarily, we primarily get donations at the food pantry. So, and we, the community has been so generous, and we've gotten enough donations and things to cover what our financial needs are. But yeah, I as a person, I see it affecting everyone in the price increases.
I had to buy a piece of salmon the other day. It was $13.
Yeah.
That struck home a little bit.
And not only are the price is increasing, but the size of things is going down.
Yeah,
so
that's
one
another
example,
way
my
they.
wife,
Right.
Yeah, my wife was telling me the other day that she buys laundry detergent, and the price went up and
The size went down.
size went down.
It's like getting a gallon of ice cream that you thought was a gallon.
It's not a gallon.
My favorite example is a Hostess cupcake. When I was a kid, it took 4 bites to eat a Hostess cupcake. Now I can pop the whole thing in my mouth at once, which I'm embarrassed to admit.
Yeah, you might not want to do that on TV.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to be admitting to that. Now, what about legislation? First of all, you don't get any outside help from a state or local government or any of that sort of thing, right? I mean, you're a 501c3 nonprofit, so is there anything that's being done at the state level or even the local level that helps to contribute?
So at the federal level, we have received some ARPA funds. I don't know if you're familiar with ARPA, but it's a government program, federal government program that's distributing money to states, and they can allocate it to various organizations. So that is, we have gotten some money from ARPA, which is great. Other than that, I'm sure I'm missing something, but
Mostly goodwill from the town, primarily from the leadership. Everybody I know on the boards are very supportive and have always been supportive of people helping people.
yes.
What about legislation? Now, I read something recently that these dates, expiration dates, because you can't accept anything that has an expiration date, correct?
Correct.
And also for excess food from organizations of restaurants and things of that sort, who frequently are forced to throw things out. But I thought I saw some legislation that would allow those foods to be donated to various organizations. Have you seen anything along those lines that might affect you positively?
Not a whole lot. We do have local businesses who donate frozen pizzas that we distribute. But really, other than that,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard about this, but if currently, if we have expired food, we're able to pass it along to homeless shelters, and they're able to use it legally where we're not. But
Why is there a distinction? Why is that? I mean, I've got baked beans on my shelf that a couple of years old. I'm still, I've still made it at this point.
yeah, I honestly don't know. I think that is something we're just scratching the surface now, the two of us, on what all of the rules and
regulations.
the legal regulations around all of this. So we're still learning, but
My expectations for your depth of knowledge at this point might be a little high, considering you've been here 4 months at this point.
Yeah.
And you came in 4 weeks after?
I've been here for 1 month.
1 month.
1 month, yeah.
November 1st, yeah.
1 month. Then
November
you're
1st.
still here.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I love this job.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the vetting process for applicants. What happens? What are the requirements? Is the income requirements, etc.? Any legalities involved in it that we should be aware of, and how does one do it?
So first and foremost, they have to be a Burlington resident. That's kind of the big requirement. There are income eligibility requirements, some of which have been waived due to the pandemic.
Right.
Other than that, that's those two components. That's really all we look at.
And how do they do it? How do you apply?
So they come into the pantry, and we'll sit down with them and go through a questionnaire.
Okay.
It's again a fairly simple process for an applicant.
And how about referral sources? Are you getting it from the social agencies in Burlington, for instance, the Council on Aging,
Yes.
Family Services,
Family
I think.
yeah. Children and Family Services, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so they both send us referrals, if they see a need there. They'll pass them on to us, and, it's reciprocal. We'll pass it on, someone on to them if they have something, if they have a need other than what we provide.
Right. Yeah. Okay, from an ecumenical standpoint, I think we have 17 churches, I think, at this point in time. Well, we got a lot of them, and they have a group, I think, together with the pastors and whatnot get together. Are they a referral source for you, or how do they contribute to the organization at this point? Haven't come into that yet?
Well, Julie's part of UCC.
Yes, and so our pastor at the UCC, our pastor recently left,
She
moved
went
on.
to
Florida.
Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, what's the name of that place? Let me see. Something Haven? No. All my golfing friends go down there.
Yeah, it's not
coming. I
coming.
think she landed a pretty good gig.
I think she moved to Naples.
Naples, that's
yes,
it. I couldn't think of it.
It wasn't coming to me either.
Yeah.
So I know she was part of the I can't think of the name of it right now, but
Ecumenical Council or
yes, some council for the pastors.
We're doing great here.
Yeah.
I know, look at us.
That's right. That's
We
right.
know what we're talking about.
Well, you have an excuse. For a couple of months, I've been doing helping people for I don't know how many years at this point. So I don't have any excuse.
I do believe that there've been they will go to the council to survey them for opinions on, we have a strategic plan to move forward with the people helping people in the food pantry in particular. And I know that the pastors in town were surveyed for their opinions on sort of their take on what the needs are in the town. And I know we've had calls. I had a call last week from a pastor in town who brought somebody over who just needed some basic supplies, and we helped them out. So they know we're here. We know we can help them as needed. So,
how about your hierarchical structure? Thank you, Ted. So Judy's the president of the entire organization, or is it Janet at this point?
Judy.
Judy is. Okay. How does that function? How frequently do you meet? You're reporting to them, I presume, on a corporate basis like everybody else has to?
Yes, so the board meets once a month, and I go and present, statistics, any updates that need to be communicated related to the pantry. So Judy and there are 12, well, there's a little more now, but board members, and each one represents a community or a church within Burlington. Not all, but we have someone who's a selectman and or on the board of a board.
So inclusion and diversity is a big item at this
Exactly.
point.
Exactly.
It is nationally, so
Right.
it always has been, I believe,
Yes.
with your group.
Yes.
Okay, unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'd like to thank our guests, Jim Sheridan,
Thank you.
Julie Lewis,
thank you. Thank you.
Director of the Food Pantry and the Manager of the Food Pantry. I know you're going to be busy this holiday season. Good luck in your new positions, and God help you in your move. Hope you find plenty of muscles.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, that's it from BNEWS Special Report. Thank you for joining us.